Can I just say that I was being irritated in the dressing room just now by this person singing very loudly, and it was Rod Stewart.
He's on Graham Norton, if anyone wants to go.
Are you referring to the show, or just something you've heard? People do anything to get on telly.
Welcome to Have I Got News for You? I'm Jack D. In the news this week, BBC Breakfast News abandons its experiment of having presenters act out the news stories after a report on Viagra receives a record number of complaints. At Westminster, Gordon Brown calls a press conference to prove his colleagues are backing him all the way. And after recently cycling to the rescue of a girl in the street, Boris Johnson begins to believe that there's nothing he and his bicycle can't do. On Ian Hislop's team is an actress and star of the political comedy The Thick of It, a show which Alistair Campbell says he absolutely detests. Praise indeed. Please welcome Rebecca Front. And with Paul Merton tonight as a comedian who, according to one reviewer, has a fine individual talent that the BBC just hasn't a clue what to do with, though he may finally have found his niche as a guest on Show 5, Series 38 of a topical news quiz. Please welcome Marcus Burton... Oh, bollocks. Marcus Burton.
Marcus Bollocks? You're not one of the Hampshire Bollocks, are you?
Yes. I had to change my name. There was already one in Equity.
Ah, indeed. That'd be Lionel.
Worked with Lionel.
Worked with Lionel. I've worked with Lionel for many years. You know his real name is Linoleum. Yeah. His wife walked all over him. Terribly, terrible thing.
Please welcome Marcus Brigstocke. And we start with the bigger stories of the week. Paul and Marcus, a bit of nostalgia for you.
Oh, yes, it's 20 years since the Berlin Wall came down, and there we are. There's Harry Seacombe. Good to see him there. It's 20 years since the Berlin Wall came down, so they've gone back to Berlin to commemorate the fact, and it was raining heavily, as you can see.
They still look like they had a good time, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, how can I put this another way? It's 20 years since the Berlin Wall. No, it is. Harry Seacombe adding a little extra goon humour to the occasion. Yeah, so that's what it is. The Berlin Wall came down 20 years ago.
It was, absolutely.
I wish I was being sponsored for this. So.
Who exactly was there?
Well, from the beginning, there were the East Germans to start, and then on the other side...
Can we skip ahead a bit?
Oh, sure, yeah. Well, Angela Merkel was there, obviously.
Yeah.
Mikhail Gorbachev was there, and then someone important from Poland, I think.
There was Lech Walesa, as
that's it. You pronounce it.
I think we've got Lech Walesa and Mikhail Gorbachev. Let's have a look.
I don't think Harry Seacombe was ever in the last of the Summer Wine. That's where that joke falls down.
Well, should we have a look at how much fun they were having? There's Sarkozy having fun and Gordon Brown... Well, no.
Do you think he smiles until a camera finds him? Maybe he's jolly most of the time. Oh, no, camera, no.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to pitch a news event, isn't it? And is the wall coming down something to smile about? Ha-ha, freedom? Or is it, oh, people died? I mean, you don't know if you're Gordon, and whichever way you do it, you'll get kicked.
And how would I feel if I was a bricklayer?
That's the issue no one's raising.
It's a shame Berlusconi didn't go, don't you think? Just would have been fun, just to hear what Silvio had to say about the whole thing.
They sent a driver for him, but it was a topless woman who never got out of the car park. It's a shame. It's a real shame.
Yeah, it was all about knocking down walls. It was about knocking up women. He might have been there.
very much.
What was the big spectacular that they arranged for the Berlin Wall?
The dominoes falling over.
Quite right. A giant domino topple that was started by Lech Walesa, who was... all right, yes, I didn't know quite how to pronounce it that time. I've got my eye on you, Pally. This is him starting it off, the wall toppling. Let's have a look. Walk backwards into the camera. It's a mile long, this thing.
Wow.
And it went on for, I don't know, hours. It did look like fun. Makes me look forward to the 30th anniversary, don't you? Yeah, many Berliners, of course, have vivid memories of that day. 71-year-old Herbert Müller was interviewed by The Times. He said, "I remember my wife had made me goulash and dumplings. I could smell it, then the news came on the TV." Meanwhile, a Mail tracked down 59-year-old former East German resident, Thekla Kirler, and when they asked her, "Can we talk to you about nostalgia for the East?" she said, "Don't talk to me about nostalgia for the East." All right, keep your hair on, just asking.
I remember exactly where I was.
You had a Mohican in those days, didn't you?
I did.
Used to do the washing up for you.
Last one.
Yeah.
Can't get him anymore. I was in front of the television watching the news. And I little thought that 20 years later I'd be saying, "Gosh, that was 20 years ago."
What did you think you'd be saying? Right, well, at this point, how about a quick odd one out? We've got Nicolas Sarkozy, Philip Schofield, David Hasselhoff and Marcus Brigstocke.
Yeah. Is it none of them can remember where they were? David Hasselhoff, can he not remember anything for the last 30 years?
David Hasselhoff claims that it was his song that brought the wall down.
And then Sarkozy claimed that he'd been there first time round until somebody pointed out that actually hadn't.
Marcus, have you no idea who would be the odd one out?
And I've absolutely no idea at all. I mean, no.
They all claim to have helped demolish the Berlin Wall, except for Marcus. Although you did go through a hole in a wall, didn't you, at one point?
Oh, no.
On that hole in the wall show?
No, look, no.
Come on.
Well, it's a good thing we haven't got footage of it,
Yes.
because that would have made you feel really awkward.
Oh, Lord, no.
We have, actually.
Of all the people who've been on here and have been caught out and done by the satirical duo that is Merton and Hislop...
I've not said a word.
And whatever host, then I come on and you just show me look like a big silver tit.
Oh, well, I'll take that line off my script. You mentioned David Hasselhoff earlier. It would be unfair not to mention the part that he played in the reunification of Germany. Should we just remind ourselves of how he looked then?
I've been looking for freedom. I've been looking so long. I've been looking for freedom. Still the search goes on.
Perhaps you don't feel so bad about your bit now.
I feel a strange sense of dignity.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this is the celebrations in Berlin, marking the fact that it's been 20 years since the wall was demolished. German Chancellor Angela Merkel praised former Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev for not intervening at the time, saying, "You courageously let things happen," in much the same way as Simon Cowell courageously let the public keep John and Edward in. A bit of satire there for you, Ian. I thought you'd like that. The celebrations included a concert by U2, not the first free gig they've played this year. In February, they performed on the rooftop of the BBC, although, sadly, that humorless, bureaucratic, repressive regime is still firmly in power. That's just what it says on the auto cue. I didn't write that. Ian and Rebecca, here's your news.
Oh, it's the Sun.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah, we get the comedy question.
Yes, it's calligraphy gate.
There's the big black pen and the writing, and there's Gordon running away. which, after his week, you wouldn't really blame him.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, this is a remarkable story. For the first time since I can remember, I actually feel sorry for Gordon Brown. John Major said he's got to a state where not only does everything he do go wrong, but people no longer hate him, they just feel pity. And Major said, I know this stage because I was there. And that's where Brown is. But actually, the Sun, which is now fiercely Tory since 3 weeks ago, decided to put the boot in to Brown for handwriting a condolence letter to someone. And it's gone wrong, because their own readers, as usual, the Sun's underestimated them, and they don't like it very much. They thought, well, he did try and write the letter, and he's half blind, and, you know, the Sun calling other people illiterate's a bit of a nerve, isn't it?
There's a nice little ironic twist as well, in that on the Sun's own website, they too had misspelt Mrs. James's name.
On Thursday, the Sun had to make the following apology. Yesterday, on a My Sun discussion block, the surname of Jackie Janes, the mother of Guardsman Jamie Janes, was spelt incorrectly. As soon as we became aware of the error, it was corrected. We're happy to apologise for the mistake, and here is the original mistake. You find the surname is Janes, not Jones.
It's incredibly sad, but... Again, not many people the Prime Minister rings up to apologise for his bad writing and then finds that the conversation is being taped.
Is it not illegal to tape phone calls without the other person's knowledge?
I think you have to say this is being recorded for training purposes. It's always interesting with The Sun when they think a story's really, really important like this, because it still only makes page 1 and then page 4. So you get outrage, what a disgrace, the shame of, you know, grieving mother, some tits to cheer everyone up, and then how much the Sun really cares about it once you've seen the tits.
It's like a tit sorbet.
A little amuse-bouche in the middle.
Exactly.
That was more inappropriate than I'd reckoned on.
Anyway, so the week started badly for Gordon at the G20 Finance Ministers Summit. Why was that?
His idea for a tax nobody wanted.
That's right. According to The Independent, the Americans told him that is not something we're prepared to support. So the Canadians said, it's not something we would be interested in, while the French response was, war.
What you say about that, the tax he wanted to impose. I mean, 2 weeks ago, he wants a tax on all financial transactions that bankers do that make them a huge stack of money. Normally, there'd be a big, hooray, Gordon, you're taxing the bastard bankers. This week, oh, Gordon, taxing bankers, you idiot. you get to a stage where it's all over.
Yeah.
And he's there.
Who's going to be the new face of Labour on television?
Oh, Peter Mandelson.
Yes.
The Dark Lord. Yes. No, I think that's great, actually, because Peter Mandelson, for so many years, was regarded as slightly sinister and a bit
Interesting use of the past tense.
And the word slightly.
He's the face of Labour. Suddenly he's the best that they've got.
I told you they'd had it.
Yeah.
It's probably an admission of failure when you have to bring him out as the friendly face of Labour.
So, if you're listening to something else over there, do you mind turning the volume up a bit?
Meanwhile, Lloyd Blankfein, the boss of Goldman Sachs, upset people this week in an interview. Anyone see what he said?
Yeah, he said, we're doing God's work.
Yes, he did indeed, yeah. He said banks serve a social purpose and do God's work. To be fair, he did also say, I know I could slit my wrists and people would cheer. I don't know, should we try that out, audience? Lloyd Blankfein has slit his wrists. Fair enough, you were right. And while we're on the subject, who else is getting a performance-related bonus?
MOD.
Yes, Rebecca.
Officials.
Yes.
It's less than £1,000 a head, isn't it? And part of their arranged paid package.
Yes, but do you know what a private serving in Afghanistan gets as a bonus?
Nothing.
Yep.
£13 a day.
Is that it?
Perhaps they should swap all the ones that are out there, just swap with the MOD for that amount of time. They could drive desks towards the Taliban. Just baffle them with red tape. They'd soon surrender then. You've been in a post office.
And have the civil service run by soldiers, which would be quite good. You'd ring up and they just say, shut your face! Still with the political week, what did Lord Sugar say he might do to himself this week?
Set himself on fire?
No.
No, he's got a smile to everybody's lips at the moment, doesn't he?
He'd become Lord Caramel then, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he would.
He's thinking of sacking himself. He says he might stop being the government's business czar. He says, I don't like czar. Don't know where it comes from. Russia? I don't know. It'd be a shame if he quit, though, wouldn't it? That we wouldn't have the excuse to keep playing this bit.
How does this region get out of recession?
Oh, shit.
There's a slightly lighter note this week, piece of news from the Commons. What's the member of Macclesfield alleged to have done to the bottom of the member for North East Derbyshire?
Claimed it on expenses?
Said it was his second bottom.
He has claimed everything else on expenses there,
He hasn't flip-flopped on it, has he?
Painful.
Do you know who this is?
It's Nicholas Winterton.
He's alleged to have slapped the bottom of Natasha Engel. There he is. Sir Nicholas Winterton, who behaved in a very disrespectful and sexist way. And here's a picture of a lady's bottom. The type that he would have slapped. When he asked if he did it, he said, can I remember the incident? No. Can I categorically deny it? No. I'm quite a normal person. Will I slap a colleague on the back? Will I slap a colleague in friendship? The answer is, it is certainly possible. So, yes, he did it. According to the Telegraph, Miss Engel confirmed that the incident had happened, but said she did not want to take it further. Not on a first date, anyway. Yes, it's been another bad week for Gordon Brown, which is as close as this show comes to having a catchphrase. This week he was accused of insensitivity over a letter of condolence. Even journalists at The Sun were uneasy at their editor's motives for running the story. Hypocritical cant is how Gordon might describe the editor in a letter. And so to round two, it's the jigsaw of news. Buzz when you know who it is. Yes, Paul and Marcus?
Yes, this is the people who've won the lottery.
Yes.
75 million or something like that. And they live somewhere at the end of that sort of blue finger there, I suppose.
They're from two different areas, actually.
Yes.
I'm guessing
You
one's
were
from
right.
sort of mid-Wales-ish.
Yes.
There was a group in Liverpool, a syndicate in Liverpool, so
Yes.
I've bought shares in JD Sport.
The Welsh couple won £45.5 million and the syndicate won £6.5 million each. What is Peachy Scadding and what has it got to do with anything?
He's a rap artist.
Yeah.
I've seen him. He was supporting Tinchy Strider.
There's a lotto winner. His name is Les Scadding. His wife's name is Peachy Scadding. And she saw the lottery results on her computer, according to the Times. After she checked the numbers, Mrs. Scadding was shaking so much that she dropped the laptop. That's unlucky. That's going to cost her, isn't it? They've become the 7th lottery millionaires in 3 years to come from what's become known as the Golden Gwent Triangle. So, Ian, you're Welsh. Do you think you might... head home to buy your lottery tickets in future? Are you
From the land of my fathers, yes. With that lovely Welsh accent I have.
Yes, it's very strong. I can hardly understand you at times. Les's ex-wife, Rosemarie, told the Mirror, "We just grew apart. We wanted different things." Well, Rosemarie, from now on, different things is what you'll be having. And what have the 7 members of the syndicates been dubbed since their magnificent win?
The Lucky Seven, the Wonderful Seven, Magical Seven, the Lottery Seven. No idea.
Magnificent.
Is it the good, the bad and the ugly?
No. They have been dubbed, of course, the Magnificent Seven, or as it's called in Merseyside, those jammy bastards. What did syndicate leader John say he did to his wife after he'd realised he'd won the lottery?
Changed her name to Peaches and shoved her in a speedboat.
He says, "I went upstairs and said to the wife, 'We've won the lottery.' She said, 'Oh, yeah, sure.' And I said, 'No, we've really won the lottery.'" That's quite an anecdote you got there, John. A local sandwich shop worker told the Mirror that members of the syndicate were often so hard up, she let them have a free lunch. She says a couple of times they'd want something and say, "I haven't got enough." I'd always let them off. I've been short myself. I know how it feels. She hinted heavily. But, in fact, although it's a relatively happy story, I think, for everyone, the BBC were very quick to put the dampeners on it. Let's see this.
There are some things even £45 million won't buy you. It won't, for instance, buy you a luxury yacht like one of Roman Abramovich's. He spent £115 million on one of them, and he's got another 5. And it won't get you a top-flight footballer like Cristiano Ronaldo. He went for £80 million when Manchester United sold him to Real Madrid.
I don't think footballers are available to private buyers.
You could get your ears pinned back, though, couldn't you? One of the Liverpool syndicate, Donna Rhodes, got the good news while attending a Remembrance Sunday parade. She said, "I went loopy and started dancing down the street." And Gordon Brown gets into trouble for not bowing. So, fingers on buzzers, teams. Here's another one for you. Buzz when you know what it is.
It's a train.
Good, on to the next round.
Is that Kim Il-jung? Was it his son?
It's Kim Jong-il. He has 6 trains made up of 90 carriages using 19 all for his own use.
Oh, like our trains. 2.5 hours to get in today.
Yeah, but you're coming from Wales, in fairness. What he likes to inspect army bases. He likes to go to China on his train and to commute between his houses. His house in Pyongyang has got a giant water slide. He likes to go there on his train and play on the water slide. The Sun's headline, Kim Jong goes loco. No match for the headline they ran when Kim launched a missile capable of reaching the US. It's all gone Pete Tong in Kim Jong Taipong Gong Ding Dong. This is the latest travel news from North Korea. A number of companies competed for the contract to supply trains to the 5-foot-tall dictator, but it was finally won by Hornby. According to the Times, to convey him between his Pyongyang palace and his secret mountain lair, Kim Jong-il has a magnificent fleet of railway trains, except at weekends when he has a magnificent replacement bus service. So, fingers on buzzers, teams.
That's an albino squirrel, but someone saw 2 of them in their garden at the same time, which apparently one of them is very unusual, and 2, I would think, twice as unusual.
Yeah,
as that.
absolutely. Yeah. Has it been knocked over? It doesn't seem to be lying down. Is that the purpose of it?
Getting quite close there, Paul, yes.
It was accidentally killed, this albino squirrel, by Sir David Attenborough, who's doing a documentary about it. Here! And he knocked it over and it just fell over the road.
It's the massive outpouring of grief following the tragic death of Dorking's very own celebrity albino squirrel. So you don't know what he was called, I suppose.
Albino.
Well, you're right, so I can give you that. It was Albie. The Mail said that the town had a Diana-style show of grief for the dead albino.
Was that, by any chance, linked to them using the opportunity to show a picture of Princess Diana?
I imagine it probably was,
Yes.
Marcus, yes. So
Upside down in a road.
They've done so for every day for them.
What, too soon?
What kinds of things have people been leaving at the shrine?
Nuts.
Nuts is correct, yes.
An inspired guess.
And there was a note saying, "Everyone loved to see you running in the churchyard with your fellow but grey squirrels." Anyone see the Advice local resident Kevin put on Albie's Facebook page?
The squirrel's Facebook page?
Yes.
Was he on Twitter?
No, he wasn't.
They'll get the pigeons.
He said he should have joined the Tuffy Club and learned the Green Cross Code. Wow. The first person on the scene following the accident was a lady called Lou Gardy, who put him in a bag and buried him so he could have some dignity. Obviously, he died after that. Any other attention-seeking squirrels in the news recently?
It's unfair to call him attention-seeking.
Yes, I suppose so, yes. Getting run over isn't really attention-seeking, is it?
It's a cry for help of a fairly extreme kind.
It's a squirrel that turned up in a couple's snapshot when they're on holiday.
Oh, yes.
The lake is called...
What is this?
Lake Columbia?
It's called Lake Minnewanka.
Oh, so that's why you got the picture out.
Yeah, this is the grief-stricken town of Dorking, which is in mourning after Albie, its beloved albino squirrel, was killed by a hit-and-run driver. The squirrel's death has already inspired this poem. Oh, little squirrel with fur so white, all of Dorking has been given such a fright over your most untimely murder at the hands of an evil driver. So that new poet laureate's not up to much, is she? One local mourned the tragic passing of the squirrel, telling reporters, when he died, a little light went out. Must have been the indicator. Well, it's time now for the odd one out round. Ian and Rebecca, your four are the editor of the Michelin Guides, Tony Blair, Barbara Streisand, and a bungalow in Dungeness.
Only one of them's going to be President of Europe, and it's the bungalow.
The cottage in Dungeness is for sale, and the estate agent's details, that may well have been the picture that they're using to sell the house, but they haven't pointed out that Dungeness Power Station is 500 yards away. I don't know what the other things are. Michelin Guide person, woman, maybe she can't be photographed because there's a certain area of anonymity which they like to enjoy. Barbara Streisand doesn't like to be photographed next to albino squirrels in Dorking. She considers it bad luck, consider their mortality rate. And Tony Blair refuses to be...
He charges to be photographed.
Yes, that's part of it, yes.
I think so. You can get pictures of you and Tony smiling.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice.
Well, me
and then
Tony.
what? Cherie just leans in with the tin.
In fact, the specific answer is that they all prefer to be photographed from one side rather than the other, except for Tony Blair, who doesn't care as long as someone's paying him £180 for it.
180 quid?
Per photo, yes.
Wow.
And for £200, he'll let you give him a wedgie. He's up for anything, Tony. Blair topped a poll this week. Do you know what it was?
When you say top to pole, that's not going to make him President of Europe, is it?
Could make him quite unpopular. He's the person that black cab drivers least want to pick up. That's the truth of it. And the editor of the Michelin Restaurant Guide, Julianne Casper, is never photographed from the front. According to Die Welt, you'll never see a picture of her. It would make it impossible for her to do her job. Although, frankly, it's hard not to spot her when she walks into a restaurant dressed from head to toe in white rubber tyres. Barbara Streisand prefers to be photographed from the left side because, well, because of her bloody great nose. Apparently, once when she was filming in New York, she hesitated before the umpteenth take. It was a night shoot, and she said, where the hell is that light coming from? An exasperated crew member responded, it's 5:30 a.m, I think it's the sun. And she replied, well, do something about it. Yes, estate agents Gearing and Collier got into a spot of bother recently for only photographing a three-bedroom bungalow from one particular angle, and we can see it from the other angle. There it is. Despite the publicity, there's already been a firm offer for the bungalow from a Mr. Ahmadinejad of Tehran. Paul and Marcus, here's yours. They are the Large Hadron Collider, the Queen Mother, George W. Bush, and a mouse in Ballymoney.
Well, the Collider was in the news this week because it's been closed down for quite some time, and they realised that a bird had got into it and dropped a bit of biscuit in there, and this had confused the Collider.
Have they restarted it this week? And also restarted the Queen Mother?
Yeah. She choked on fish bones a couple of times, and George Bush choked on a pretzel, didn't he? He was rather confused by it.
Does everyone choke on a biscuit except the Queen Mother?
Well, no, not quite that, actually.
Snack,
it was
cake.
It was...
Snack, cake, bar.
They've all... I'll have to stop you there, Ian.
Not a generation game, you know.
Yeah.
The particle thing, though, they were looking for a mysterious particle, which I thought was quite amusing. It was a bit of biscuit.
Yeah.
No, it was a bit of baguette.
It was baguette, yes.
It was a baguette particle, not the Higgs boson particle at all.
Well, apparently the scientists do not know what 96% of the universe is made of.
Really?
So now it could be baguette, couldn't it? Actually, they didn't think of baguette. If they'd done it alphabetically, they would have got to it quicker.
The actual answer is that they've all had unfortunate bread-related accidents, apart from the Queen Mum, who used to throw bread rolls at dinner. This is according to Major Colin Burgess, the Queen Mother's equerry from 1994 to 96. Why did she throw bread rolls?
She was pissed.
She did it to gain attention and to break the ice, although she was...
The Queen Mother, how much attention did you want?
And the mouse in Ballymoney, he had an unfortunate incident involving bread when it ended up embedded in a malt loaf. Here's the picture of it. Yes. Is it just me, or when you squint your eyes you can see the face of Jesus? According to the prosecution, it happened sometime between the tins being oiled and filled with dough. The bread company's defence team pointed out that in the premises at present there are 131 bait stations, or oiled bread tins as they're known. A spokesman for the bakery was very apologetic, saying nothing like this has happened in 60 years, before adding, has anyone seen the cat? Yeah, they've all had unfortunate bread-related accidents except for the Queen Mother. The Large Hadron Collider overheated this week when a small piece of baguette landed in the cooling system. A scientist went into the collider to investigate. No one knows how the baguette got there, but the best guess is a bird, he said, while hastily stuffing a pret-a-manger serviette into his pocket. Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication Happiness magazine. It's quite good, although it never has a crossword.
Is this a British magazine?
Yeah, it is, I think. It is a British magazine.
Called Happiness?
Yes, Happiness.
Not selling well, then?
Yeah, they're OK about it, though. They have the resources to cheer up and just carry on losing money on it.
Like the Independent, then.
And we start with don't what, just plonk it in the soup.
Hey, what? Hang on, that's wrong.
No. OK. No one panic. No. Don't what, says Iraqi Tourist Board.
Come here. Don't mention soup before that is the right question.
Yeah.
And don't arrive with too high expectations.
Yes, actually, pretty much right. That was, in fact, it's expected to do a lot of sightseeing. One travel agent was dubious about the Iraqi Tourist Board. There are no direct flights, you can't get insured, you can't move around, you can't go shopping or sightseeing. Although, to be fair, that could apply to Great Yarmouth as well. So,
another gig gone.
Yeah. Next, what? Wear your party pants.
Look like an arse, wear your party pants.
Cheer yourself up.
It's...
bring happiness to your life.
Kind of, actually.
It's happy hour.
Yeah, in the right area.
It's party pants hour.
Is it?
Feeling down? Wear your party pants. Get out there.
Oh, is it entice Nicholas Winterton, wear your party pants?
It's life's too short, wear your party pants. This is from Happiness magazine, of course. It's the headline to the Lighten Up with Loretta column. And if you're not feeling queasy enough yet, here's Loretta. Yeah. So, next. What, but I want it on an antique table.
Is it? I've had it everywhere else.
Mine's a double skinny latte, but I want it on an antique table. This is the bold attempt at rebranding Starbucks to make it more popular with the British public. According to The Times, Starbucks was set up in 1971 by 2 teachers and a writer. Where did they find the time? So, next, Dimbleby. In future, I'll be giving bullocks what?
A slot on Question Time.
For Christmas.
No.
Is it a wide berth?
It is a wide berth.
There we go.
You got it, yeah. After being knocked unconscious by a bullock on his farm, David Dimbleby missed Question Time for the first time in 15 years. The bullock has not been named, but is apparently a rare breed, although I should think he'll be at least medium rare by now. Next, I could be utterly delusional, but what?
No, I think there are signs of recovery, really. I think we're coming out of it. You know, a few periods of growth. No, the economy's really coming on. There's quite a lot to fit in there, but...
I could be utterly delusional, but I've never been happier in my life. As I look forward, the future seems bright, the horizons are endless. I'm an optimist.
Well, you're on the right tracks. It's, I could be utterly delusional, but I have a gorgeous goddess moment every morning. This is according to Catherine Temple, writing in Happiness magazine, who tells us, I'm feeling good. On my 1 to 10 yeehaw scale, I'm up there on the higher register. Yeah, I know the feeling. Next, don't what? Just plonk it in the soup.
Is it wave it about? Is it read the sun? Don't read the sun, just plonk it in the soup. Delicious tit and outrage soup.
Is it don't drop that bit of baguette down the Hadron Collider, just plonk it in the soup?
It's don't throw that wine down the sink.
Plonk.
Yes.
Plonk it.
Though, to be fair, nothing shifts solid vegetable matter faster than blue nun. Next, put a silly button where your belly button used to be and what?
Report to your nearest medical establishment. Put a silly button where your belly button used to be and have fun, fun, fun. It's more happiness, isn't it? It's got to be.
It is, yes.
Watch your friends leave one by one.
It's put a silly button where your belly button used to be and you'll find the tension just lifts. This is from Happiness magazine. Catherine Temple's wildly upbeat article begins, I have a fridge magnet that says, you can't scare me, I have children. Catherine, I have children, you scare me. The next one is, Hitler wasn't he what?
Awful. I mean, he was. The more I hear about him, I think... Was it horrid?
Oh, I mean, he always had a good word to say for nobody.
Yeah, and so cross-looking, wasn't he? He should read Happiness magazine.
The contestant on the X Factor?
No, they...
West Ham's goalkeeper in the war.
Well, you're quite close, ironically.
A footballer?
Yes. Wasn't he a soccer coach?
I don't believe it.
Yes, according to research, 1 in 20 school children think Adolf Hitler coached Germany's football team. Even more worryingly, 12% thought that McDonald's golden arches were a symbol of Remembrance Day. As in, must remember not to eat there again. And finally, keep smiling, keep shining, and keep what?
Your receipts. Pretending it's fun to be Prime Minister?
Specifically, it's a wild yeehaw in your soul. Yes,
Is this an American publication?
Well, there are a lot of American writers in it, but I'm told it's British.
It doesn't feel very British, does it?
No, well, Happiness isn't, is it? This is the editorial in Happiness magazine, which also includes the happiness tip of the month. Install a fuck it bucket in your home, an office, or indeed studio. So, the final scores are Ian and Rebecca have 4 points, but Paul and Marcus have 6. Well, before we go, there's just time for the caption competition.
Graf goes for a walk and finds families moved into his house when he gets back.
Madonna Adoption Agency makes error.
On which note we say thank you to our panellists Ian Hislop and Rebecca Front, Paul Merton and Marcus Brigstocke, and I leave you with news that after joyful crowds celebrate the coronation of their new king, a confused old man wakes up to find out it was all a dream. In central London, the Metropolitan Police release a CCTV footage of the dangerous lunatic who's been wandering around Downing Street wielding an iron bar. And in Paris, disaster strikes at Philippe Leroux's bistro after the starter goes missing. Good night.
And Rebecca Front stays in the firing line next on BBC Two, facing the wrath of a fire-breathing Peter Capaldi as Malcolm Tucker. We like our politics raw, with the thick of it next.